Hi, I'm Mike Schwarz, Managing Director of iTech Minerals. Today I'm pleased to invite existing shareholders to participate in our share purchase plan. The details for that are now available through our website, and they'll also be sent out to eligible shareholders via our share registry at Automic. But more importantly, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk through our investor presentation, and that goes into more detail about our projects, our plans for the future, and how we'll be using this funding to build value for our shareholders. So let's get started. Over the past year, since our IPO in October 2021, we've hit the ground running, and we've done a significant drilling program on the Eyre Peninsula, principally exploring for kaolin and rare earth elements that are hosted within that kaolin. We were able to complete a 10,000 metre drilling program and drill nearly 500 holes, and that led us to define a pretty significant exploration target of 110 to 220 million tonnes at between 635 and 832 ppm total rare earth element oxides at CARALUE BLUFF. So we were very pleased with this outcome. But we haven't been leaving the graphite alone either. What we did early on was set a bulk sample over to a group called Enzaplan in Germany. And the aim of that project was to take some run-of-mine ore from our current JORC-compliant resource of 8.5 million tonnes at 9% total graphitic carbon and really test how we could produce a high-quality spherical graphite product from that run-of-mine ore. Now that metallurgy was very successful, and I'll go through that a little bit more in the presentation. So we recently completed a capital raise or a placement to raise $4.5 million at 25 cents per share. Now this was really aimed at funding our future graphite expansion drilling on the Eyre Peninsula. But what we also wanted to do was to undertake a share purchase plan to raise up to an additional $2 million with a view to allow us to also advance the kaolin and rare earth projects on the Eyre Peninsula at the same time. Now we highly value our existing shareholders, and we wanted to give those shareholders an equal opportunity to participate via a share purchase plan at the same issue price and under the same conditions as the placement. So if the share purchase plan is fully subscribed, iTech will have about $9 million cash at bank to fund our ongoing graphite rare earth element and kaolin exploration and resource development. So when we started iTech back in 2021, we knew that we had a very high quality graphite project at CAMPOONA on the Eyre Peninsula. We had a JORC-compliant resource of 8.5 million tonnes at 9% total graphitic carbon. We acquired a granted mining lease and two multi-purpose leases, one for processing and the other for water infrastructure. We knew that we could process that CAMPOONA ore into high purity concentrates, an initial flotation stage to 94%, and then a later hydrofluoric acid concentration state to 99.9% total graphitic carbon. And we also knew that the CAMPOONA ore was of high quality enough to produce spherical graphite suitable for lithium-ion batteries. The graphite's also being converted into graphene and being used in technical applications such as in biosensors. But what we knew was that final purification stage, which used hydrofluoric acid, had the potential to have problems from both a safety and an environmental standpoint. So what we wanted to do was substitute that final purification stage from 94 to 99.95% from hydrofluoric acid into another process which has a lot better safety, environmental and cost implications. So what we settled on with Enzaplan was to trial a caustic leach or autoclave assisted caustic bake process. So very early this year, we were able to send approximately 600 kilograms of run-of-mine material from CAMPOONA over to Enzaplan in Germany to undertake this metallurgical test work. So the results of that metallurgical test work are back now, and Enzaplan were able to reduce the number of flotation steps down from 11 to 8 in the bulk sample production, which suggests that we're going to have a more cost-effective processing flow sheet. The average purity of that first flotation stage produced a concentrate of 94% total graphitic carbon with recoveries of approximately 80%. Now what is very important out of that is that 96% of that concentrate had graphite flakes which are less than 75 microns or of a small flake size. Now this is the ideal flake size for use for purified spherical graphite production. So if you have a lot larger flakes or variable flake size, you need to micronize or grind those down, and that uses a lot of energy. Now, having 90% of our material already in the suitable flake size, it will save us a lot on those processing costs. So the next step was then to test the purification of the concentrate and see if we could get it up to 94% total graphitic carbon, up to well above 99.95%. Now, we were very successful in being able to do that. Both the flake and the spheronized products have been purified to 99.99% fixed carbon using both acoustic bake and caustic pressure leaching. We were also able to achieve excellent unoptimized yields of 47% spherical graphite. So from that purified flake product, 47% of that material was able to be converted into a spherical graphite product. Now, our preliminary unoptimized results show that spherical graphite has really favorable industry standard parameters. So the fixed carbon content was 99.99%, well above the industry standard of 99.5%. Our yield test was 47%, and this is an unoptimized yield, so we hope to get that higher. But that is well above the industry standard of between 20 to 30% that you get in China. Now, our tap density, that's the amount of material that you can fit into any given space. So the more of this spherical graphite anode material that you can fit into the anode of a lithium-ion battery, the higher the performance of that battery. So if you get it over 0.9, you're well above the industry standard, and ours came in at 0.94. Now, D50, that's the average size of the spheres of your graphite particles. Now, you want to be in the middle size, which is exactly where we are, between 17 and 19 microns. And the reason you want to be in the middle size is that is the size that is used in electric vehicles and also in energy storage applications. Now, that is projected to have the highest growth demand in the coming years. So the fact that we can produce in that size is where most of the demand is going to be for our product. So the final criteria is the ratio of D90 to D10, and that is the variability of the size of those particles. So the more evenly sized or less variable they are, the more consistent the performance of your battery. And you can see we came in well below 3.5, which is the industry standard at 3.16. So overall, we nailed all of those industry standards, and we have a very high quality spherical graphite for the use in battery anode material. But the next step is to be able to expand our current mine life of the CAMPOONA spherical graphite project. And the question is, where are we going to do that? Now, we're really lucky that we have some very high quality exploration targets and drill targets on our Eyre Peninsula tenements. So if you have a look at this diagram, our current CAMPOONA graphite resources is made up of 3 individual deposits, and you can see them to scale on the left of the diagram there. Now, we have 2 new drill targets that we've recently defined, one at SUGARLOAF and one at LACROMA. Now, you can see that the scale of these targets are orders of magnitude larger than our current resources. So if we first take a look at our SUGARLOAF project, that has an exploration target of 158 to 264 million tonnes at between 7 to 12% total graphitic carbon. Now, this is a well-constrained exploration target. It is based on about 33 historical holes that have been drilled through quite thick and high-grade intervals of carbon across that SUGARLOAF project. And it consistently intersects intervals of greater than 50 metres. Now, the type of graphite that has been intersected in the drill holes so far is a microcrystalline graphite. So it's essentially a fine flake graphite, similar to what we have at CAMPOONA, but it hasn't been metallurgically tested yet. So we've now sent a sample of that material back over to Anzaplan in Germany to see how well it performs within that CAMPOONA flow sheet. So this is an image or a diagram showing the size of the SUGARLOAF target. It's a flat-lying target, it's shallow, and it outcrops a SUGARLOAF hill. So the aim is to drill out this target in the coming months and test the resource upgrade potential. So we're well advanced on this project, all of our landowner agreements in place, and our government approval for drilling are expected in the next couple of weeks. So the next target we have is LACROMA. Now, this is also a very large drill target. This is part of a 12-kilometre electromagnetic anomaly, which we believe is produced by the graphite. So the electromagnetics, as you can see in the multicoloured image, what that does is map out the conductivity of the ground beneath the surface. Now, because graphite is used in lithium-ion batteries, it is known to be a very good conductor. So it shows up as really red, quite bright red blobs or linear features within that image. So at LACROMA, there's an existing drill hole intersection of 60 metres at 6.8% total graphitic carbon. So we know that that anomaly is caused by graphite subsurface. What's also important is that a metallurgical test work has already been undertaken on that drill hole, and that shows that it is amenable to the same flow sheet that produces the graphite, the black graphite that comes out of CAMPOONA. So this, in a large way, de-risks this target as being suitable for putting straight through the processing facility that we might build for the CAMPOONA ore body. So to drill down into the LACROMA target a bit more, you can see that it is a very extensive modelled target of graphite. We have LACROMA West, which is the green body on the left-hand side of the diagram, and LACROMA East on the right-hand side. Now this has been mapped from both a number of drill holes which we know have intersected graphite mineralisation, and then conductivity, which is mapped out by that electromagnetic geophysical survey. So again, at LACROMA, we have our landowner agreements ready for drilling, and the government approvals for drilling are due in the next couple of weeks. So what are the project milestones for our graphite project? Well, our metallurgical test work has gone off for SUGARLOAF, and that's been sent to Anzaplan in Germany, and the results of that are due in mid to late January. So we'll know then whether we can run that graphite material from SUGARLOAF straight through the processing facility we've designed for CAMPOONA. We're also due to take a bulk sample for pilot plant test work, and that sample has been approved and is due to be collected in December this year. We then aim to start drilling late this year, making sure that we can get access to the properties once all of the crops are off, as it's farming country. We aim to finish our drilling before the middle of next year and incorporate all those drill results into an updated exploration target and resource calculation, both at SUGARLOAF and at LACROMA. So moving on to our CARALUE, BLUFF, Rare Earth and KAOLIN project, significant drilling has been done over the last year on this project, where we've proven up a significant exploration target of both KAOLIN and coincident rare earths at CARALUE, BLUFF. We completed approximately 260 drill holes on this prospect, of which 79 have been incorporated into an exploration target. Now, we've kept that exploration target to include the high purity kaolin and the coincident rare earths. Now, the reason we've done this is we want to be able to produce two products from this potential resource. And the exploration target we've managed to put together for this project is 110 to 220 million tonnes, between around 600 to 800 ppm total rare earth element oxides. So that's quite a sizable exploration target. What's important is that it's based solely on drilling and it's open in multiple directions. Now, the rare earths within this mineralisation are very much enriched in the key magnet rare earths. So that's neodymium, praseodymium, dysprosium and terbium. And they make up about 25% of the rare earth element basket. So that makes it a high value rare earth element basket. What we did notice is when we upgraded this material to extract the kaolin component of the mineralisation, it also upgraded the rare earth component significantly. And on average, it upgraded it by 176%. It also decreased the amount of calcium that was present in the sample, which means that you don't get so much acid consuming or acid neutralising material. And that has real benefits for the cost of extracting the rare earths when you're processing it. The average depth to the top of this mineralisation is about 12 metres, so there's a low strip ratio, and the thickness varies between 5 and 12 metres. So this is the kind of material we're looking at mining and processing. It's the bright white high purity kaolin that has the rare earths within it. So not only are we looking at producing a rare earth concentrate, we're also looking at producing a high purity kaolin product out of this material. So how are we going to do this? Well, if we have a look at the conceptual flow sheet, we're looking at digging this up in a very low cost mining operation, very close to surface and essentially free digging. We dig that kaolin rich material up, we put it into a plunger which converts it with water into a slurry, and then you can start piping it around and moving it. You put it into a screening facility or hydroclones which remove the coarse component. That removes all of the coarse quartz material and you put that back in the mine. So what you have left then is the fine material, and that's the valuable stuff. That's got the kaolin and the rare earths in it. which have been upgraded by 176%. You put that into tanks and you leach it off with an acid-rich solution. That acid-rich solution pumps off to a precipitation tank where you move the impurities, and then you precipitate out a clean rare earth element concentrate, either as oxides or carbonates. Now that's your first product that you can sell. The second product is still left in the leaching tanks. You pump that over to a filter press, and that's your bright white high purity kaolin material. Now you filter press that to get rid of all the water, and then you've got a high purity kaolin product. So at the end of this process, you've got two products to sell. High purity kaolin, which can be used in many industrial processes for use in high purity alumina, for ceramics, for paper filler, paper coating. There's a whole lot of different uses for this material. And then you have your rare earth element concentrate. Now that goes off to a rare earth element separation facility, and that gets then separated into the different rare earth element metals. So this project doesn't only just produce rare earth elements, it also produces a secondary product, which is the high purity kaolin, which we hope will economically underpin a lot of the mining and the processing costs out of this whole process. So the initial metallurgical test work that we did, we tested about 19 holes out of the 260 holes tested. So that's about 77% of the holes that we drilled so far, and 8 of those are within the current exploration target. So what we did was use very standard leach conditions for both ionic and colloidal rare earth elements. So the maximum recoveries that we achieved for neodymium and praseodymium were between 28 to 30%, and for dysprosium and terbium it was between 57 and 65%. Now what we'd really like to do is get those recoveries up to well above 50 to the 60-70% sort of recovery areas. So what we've gone and done is sent those samples back, and our aim is to do another round of metallurgical testing where we're going to keep adding higher increments of acid until we can get the bulk of those rare earth elements into solution. So that test work will be available. The results of that test work are aimed to be available by the end of November. So the project milestones for the kaolin and the rare earths, that metallurgical test work is due in the next month, and then we want to start drilling and do our infill resource drilling at CARALUE BLUFF. Landowner agreements are in place, government drilling approvals are pending, expected in the next few weeks. We then want to commence drilling towards the end of this year. Finish that drilling early in the new year, get those drill results back, and by the middle of next year, have a resource calculation completed so we know what our JORC compliant resource is over the CARALUE BLUFF area. And then once we've done that, we want to optimise that metallurgical test work, make sure we can get our rare earth recoveries up to a sustainable level, and then produce that high quality kaolin product. So that'll take a bit more work on the metallurgy, put that into the flow sheet, and then we'll look towards doing pre-feasibility studies after that. So investment highlights for the whole project. We've got a lot going on over the next 6 to 12 months. We've got highly prospective geology with a significant land holding. Already got a JORC compliant graphite resource with a granted mining lease. We're looking at improving and expanding our resources and exploration targets, both at SUGARLOAF and LACROMA, and also at CARALUE BLUFF for our rare earths and kaolin. We have 100% interest in both our graphite and rare earth projects. We're in a very desirable jurisdiction here in South Australia, so we're a Tier 1 mining jurisdiction. We're close to existing infrastructure, including ports at Whyalla and Lucky Bay. We also have access to skilled labour and mining support services at Whyalla, which is an already established mining town with an iron ore smelter. Now, most importantly, there's a new high voltage power line that's been put in through our tenement package. Now, that is connecting a whole lot of renewable energy generation that exists on the Eyre Peninsula and connecting it to the main grid. So we hope to tap into that for a lot of our processing energy. So we believe that iTech is a real growth opportunity. We have a tight capital structure and a very low enterprise value. We've got a full schedule for exploration work, including many upcoming drill programs. So excitingly, we have that updated rare earth element metallurgical test work due in the coming month. We have our graphite drilling at SUGARLOAF and LACROMA due to start at the end of the year, as well as the rare earth and kaolin drilling. Now, coming between now and halfway through next year, we'll be waiting for all that drilling to be completed, the results to come back in, and then we'll be upgrading our graphite resources and also our kaolin and rare earth element resources by the middle of next year. So look, it's a really exciting time for iTech over the coming 6 to 12 months. We're pretty much fully funded to do all of this work. So please, if you can participate in the share purchase plan, we want you, the shareholder, to be a part of this exciting growth and development opportunity for iTech Minerals. So thanks for listening.